Hello out there from the real life wastelands of Appalachia. My name is Josh, West Virginia resident, believe it or not. So when I say that, I mean it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name again is Josh. Welcome to another episode of Dead Men Streaming with the Fallout 76 challenges for the week of September the 23rd through September the 30th, 2025. Last weekend was Mothman Festival in West Virginia. I hope you had a great time. If you happen to have the luck to go, I could not afford to pay for parking. Go figure. So, I didn't, unfortunately, but I'll go next year. All right, all of that being said, let's talk about this week's weekly challenges because really the challenges aren't that challenging, although there is one that's a little bit annoying, and you'll see what I mean now. All right, let's talk about the annoying one. It's going to be collect a garden gnome. 0 out of 5. Now, if you're playing 76, you will see these little buggers everywhere. Like, they're not the hardest thing to find if you keep your eyes open, but everybody else is looking for them too whenever they're a weekly challenge. So let's talk about places you can go to collect them. The first one is in Huntersville. So go to Huntersville, fast travel there. You will land on a small road outside. On your right, as you walk up the road, you'll encounter a concrete wall formation thing with a tower or something on top of it and a super mutant. You'll encounter another super mutant and a super mutant hound directly in front of you past some barricades. If you face the concrete embankment dead on, to the left of that is a small house with an even smaller garden plot behind it, and in that garden plot, you have a chance at finding enough garden gnomes for this challenge. You can also go to Hornwright Testing Site number 2 and head to the west towards this mountain range, and you'll find a small road with a traffic accident on it from ages past where you'll find a handful of garden gnomes scattered around it. In addition to that, you can also go to the General Steakhouse, which is one of my favorite places to go in all of Fallout 76. And in the General Steakhouse, if you go behind it to the usual garden of the General Steakhouse, you'll find a handful of floaters, occasionally some canines, and a vegetable garden. This is the de facto place I go every time whenever I have to harvest or eat vegetables. Keep that in mind. But behind that, there's also a small shed with garden gnomes. You can, in theory, find a handful of garden gnomes somewhere south of Pickett's Fort, around a corpse in the road. So they're somewhere up there. And again, you can find garden gnomes just sort of scattered throughout the game, but those are the locations that I would go if I had to go look for them. Myself, I do have access to a private server because I have Fallout First. It's also why my score is a little higher than maybe yours is. I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying private server means I'm not fighting other people off. Now, I mentioned collecting vegetables. You don't have to collect them, you just have to eat them. So, in theory, you do actually have to obtain them. And where should you go for that? The garden behind the General Steakhouse, located right over here to the immediate west of Robco Research Facility and north of Max Farm and east of Firebase LT. It's literally right here where my mouse is. So, yeah. All right. So now we know where to go to get vegetables and to pick up our garden gnomes. Let's talk about the others. Destroy an assaultron is probably going to be the hardest one on this list for most players. But to be honest with you, there is one place to go that's going to have enough assaultrons for you to complete this challenge in under 20 minutes. Where is that, you may ask? Sites Alpha, Beta, Charlie, which would also happen to be the 3 nuke silos in Fallout 76. They're loaded to the gills with assaultrons, so you can pick up 5 easy. You can also pick up assaultrons hanging around in some spots of the very basement of Arctos Pharma. This is where the public event that has you guarding the local wildlife spawns at, but I don't know if it's in circulation this week, so keep that in mind. You might be able to find them there, but you certainly can find enough running a silo. But if you don't want to run a silo, you can run 5 encounters of Encrypted, the end boss is an assaultatron. You can also occasionally find them wandering around Watoga, and there's sometimes one at Survey Camp Alpha. Aside from that, they're sort of rare. So while you may be able to pick up one as a boss in Robco, maybe, pretty certain you can down in Garam mining headquarters, and there's one in an unmarked spot north of Rapidan Camp. Um, they're just you can of course find them in not the White Spring Refuge, but the Enclave bunker below White Spring, the White Spring bunker. You can find them there. They're non-hostile. Maybe able to pick up the 5 you're looking for there. All right, moving on from the assaultatrons. The rest of our weekly challenges are kind of straightforward. So we do have to claim a workshop. Now, just a reminder, if you're newish to the game, workshops have been in the game since launch. They're designed as a place for you to go build something, have fun, get plans when you clear them, but they're also a PvP source. So when you claim a workshop, there is the opportunity for other players to come over and engage in PvP with you. Now, at this stage of the game, I see PvP actions that happen maybe once every month, once every 2 months. It's not usually a big deal. It is just a little annoying, something to keep your mind and eyes open for. Outside of that, if you are after specific resources, you can usually find spots where you can put resource generators down at any of the workshops in the game. Plus, if we're ever doing an event like Spooky Scorched or Holiday Scorched, well, they do. You can put a Collectron in those areas to generate plans, at least for Holiday Scorched. Something to keep in mind. Having said that, it's fairly straightforward, so just run to those workshops and pick them up. Collect brain fungus. There are a couple of really good locations to do this. There's a tunnel network around here near this rail track area that is loaded with brain fungus all the way up and down. You can also pick up brain fungus in Hopewell Cave, which is guarded by a death claw, so be careful if you pop in there. But you can find a bunch inside of Hopewell. All right, moving on from brain fungus. Don't forget to equip your green thumb perk to harvest even more of it. And as a side note, brain fungus soup, if you're not running carnivore, will give you an intelligence boost, which means you get more EXP per kill. All right, catch a fish while it is raining. This is the vaguely most annoying thing out of the list, and it's not really. If you don't have a weather machine in your camp that produces rain, you're either going, and your camp isn't at water, you're either going to have to go to somebody's camp who has water and a weather machine, or just wander the world until you find a spot with fishable water and it's raining, and then drop your gun, pick up your fishing rod, and go fish. All right, collecting caps. 2,500. I picked up 28 caps just by blinking earlier. So it's not hard. Just empty your inventory at an NPC vendor twice this week should be enough if you don't pick them up just by completing regular events. All right. And then the last two, scrap a pipe gun. Not hard. Half of what you fight in this game is going to have a gun. A lot of it's going to be junk guns. Or go to a weapons workbench, make 20 pipe guns, and then scrap them. Easy and done. Finally, kill 30 canines. This is one that I get snagged on a regular basis. You can find canines in a large number of places, just not in a large number of numbers, unless you get lucky and find the Leader of the Pack event at Tyler County Fairgrounds, the major wildlife event that takes place in Arctos Pharma that we talked about a few moments ago. You can pick up a handful of canines outside of Vault 76 as you go, go between the Wayward and Green County Lodge. There's usually a handful that pop up down here. You can find about 5 along the outside of West Tech Research Center. You can pick up another 5 to 10-ish inside West Tech if you're of the level where you can go farm super mutants. Just do a couple blitzes through. That'll pick up most of them. You can find canines wherever you find super mutants. There's at least 2 at the General Steakhouse. There's several down in Huntersville. Just keep your eyes open for dogs, wolves, anything like that. Death Blossoms usually pops up quite a few. And you can usually find 4 or I think it's either 3 or 4 at Sylvie and Sons logging camp, right outside of Sons of Dane compound and south of Hopewell Cave. it's the harder of all of these to do in one sitting, just because you got to bounce to so many different locations. You can also find a bunch around Aaronhold Homestead on a regular basis, so that's a spot to keep in mind as well. All right, and that is it for the weekly challenges. So, catch a fish while it's raining. Again, wait for it to rain somewhere. Find water. Can't really tell you to do it any different. Claim a workshop. Just go to any of the workshop icons on the map marked with that hammer and wrench crossbones thing. Claim it. Takes 25 caps to claim. You get 5 caps back. You get plans. You get scrap. You usually have to fight some enemies off. Collect brain fungus. My favorite place, Hopewell Cave. That long stretch of tunnel network east of the pylon and northeast of Watoga is another good spot. Collecting caps is just make money. Collecting garden gnomes, again, your best shots are going to be in Huntersville, right past that concrete wall and a small house with a small farm to the west of Hornwright Testing Site number 2 down here, and occasionally some around Pickett's Fort. Prickett, sorry, whatever. All right. Uh, Assaultatrons, Watoga, the White Spring Enclave Bunker, or run a silo. Silo's going to be your best bet, your fastest bet, really. To me, anyways, with the best reward possible. All right, eat a vegetable, get 25 vegetables at the General Steakhouse. Canines, run a couple runs of West Tech if you're in a hurry. That should get you close to 30. Otherwise, look for events like Death Blossoms. Look for events like the one at Arctos Pharma. Look for Leader of the Pack over at Tyler County Fairgrounds. Look for small trips over to Sylvie and Sons Logging Camp. Clear out Huntersville. Clear out most Blood Eagle camps like Crimson Prospect. Have a handful of attack dogs if you're okay with that. All right, and finally, scrap a pipe gun. You make 20 pipe guns and scrap them at a workbench if you're in a hurry. Moving on from that to dailies as a bonus, collect wood, go to Sylvie and Sons Logging Camp. You can find enough there for everything. Build a floor, wall, roof, or shelter in free cam and build a turret or trap in a workshop or camp. That's just strict building. That's on you. Complete a daily quest. My favorite daily quest to do right now is the fishing daily quest that you can pick up every day over at Fisherman's Rest. That'll send you to a random location to fish 7 fish. Maybe if you get lucky, it'll be raining and you'll pick up 7 fish and 2 of the fish you need that are raining for the weekly. All right. Scrap junk to produce steel. Listen, by the time you get done doing any of these things, you'll have enough steel. Don't even worry about that. Kill a mole miner. All right. Monongah, good spot. Any breach and clear event down here will have more than enough. You can find several high level ones outside of the Gleaming Depths, and if you do the raid, well, you'll get plenty. Then, also, you can swing through Welch. That's another great spot. Uranium Fever is going to be your other best bet. Or, whatever one that has the rocks falling in it over here in this area. I can't think of the name of it. All right. Oh, you can also pick up just 10 at Mount Blair Train Year 2. There's a bunch. Like Ash Heap is mole miner territory. All right, and feral ghouls for our last thing and our last part of this video. My go-to spot's a White Spring Golf Club, but it's everybody's go-to spot because there's about 20 different ghouls that spawn in here. You can also find ghouls around the White Spring, I don't know, cabins, whatever you want to call them, that are along the golf club. You can pick up a bunch at Site Charlie. That Site Charlie has at least 10 that you can pick up before you go into the nuke silo. Then there's a handful that spawn up at Freddy Fear's House of Scares, and several at range that you can pick off at the New River Gorge Bridge East, heading west. But again, ghouls are one of those things that they're everywhere. Like Appalachian Antiques usually has them, Dropsite V9 usually has them, C2 usually has them. You're not going to run out of places to find ghouls. You're really not. And of course, Horde events have them. All right, all that being said, my name is Josh. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this video helpful and informative. I do have a few Fallout 76 videos planned, but I've been very busy. However, that being said, please be sure to give me a follow on Twitch because I do stream over there Fallout usually 2 or 3 times a week. I'm probably also going to be streaming Diablo 4 and Dungeons 4 later this week as well. And when I stream on Twitch, I'm going to be doing my best to raise money for a charity that I run. So follow me over there and have some fun. All that being said, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day. I'll see you next week in the wasteland. Until then, be good, be safe, and take your Rad-X.